Number 4 of our Bell quiz was this, but it was divided by a certain number, but we're just going to say equals 0. Okay, I'm wondering when x cubed plus 1 equals 0. Can anybody tell me a solution that makes that guy 0? Just curiosity. Go ahead, Bella. Isabella. -1. How'd you do so? I personally decided to get him by himself, right? Kind of away. And then she took the cube root. So therefore, she came over, took the cube root of both sides, took the cube root of -1. It's -1, right? Everybody with me on that? Makes sense? That's a solution. Yeah! That's my only solution. Think about it. X cubed. How many zeros should I have? 3. Could this be a multiplicity of 3 for this 1 0? It could. Let's see if it works. Okay. How would I write this answer as a binomial? It would be x minus 1. That'd give me a value of 1. Be x plus 1. So remember, if it's a multiplicity, I'd put a 3 above it. You guys remember that? Right? So we believe right now that these two are the same. That's what we're kind of thinking. That's our hypothesis, correct? What are they? Let's plug a value in for x. Pick any value. Okay, I don't like 5, but we can do it. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 cubed. I think that's 216. Yes, no? Okay, 216. What's 5 cubed? 125 plus 1, which is 126. Are they equal to each other? No, just by doing this, notice they're not equal to each other. So, therefore, is this 3 zeros? Is this 3 zeros at one specific spot with multiplicity of 3? No. As we just said, notice this is not x plus 1 cubed, is it? It's not the same. So I'm missing how many answers? I only have 1, and they're supposed to be how many? 3. So we're going to kind of use what we just did on number 4 of our Bell quiz. What does number 4 say? X cubed plus 1 divided by x plus 1. Now, how is this kind of helpful? Well, what is x plus 1? That was our solution, wasn't it? If we already know one solution, then I divide that out, kind of like how we were doing that volume problem. If we already knew the width or something, we divide that out, and that leaves us with the rest, correct? Everybody with me on that? Understanding what I'm doing there. So if I go ahead and divide, so let's go ahead and do so. What's the coefficient of x cubed plus 1? 1, 0, 0, 1. Does everybody understand where I'm getting those? Once again, notice I have 0 x squared terms and 0 linear terms, correct? Already that right. Okay. So I'm going to divide by what? -1. So therefore 1, -1, -1, 1, 1, -1, 0. And notice it should be a 0. How do we know it's a 0? Because it was a factor, meaning it went into it perfectly. It was something that made this 0, right? Everybody understand that? So therefore, I know that x cubed plus 1 is equal to x plus 1 times x squared minus x plus 1. And once again, I got that from these coefficients, correct? What was the answer we already found, Ms. Brown? And we have that right here in this binomial, don't we? Where's the other two answers going to come from? From these guys. Can I factor in? Factors of 1 that add to be -1. Not going to happen, right? Because what's the factors of 1? 1 and 1, do they add to be -1? So what do I have to do? Complete square? I could do that. Quadratic formula? I could do that, right? How many want complete square? One, but I ain't doing it because there's only one of you. So we're going to do quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times 1 times 1 all over 2a, which is 2. Notice this is just 1 minus 4. That's negative 3. 1 plus or minus I root 3 because this is negative 3 all over 2. Notice I had one answer up here, and there's all three of them. Okay, notice we found the other two solutions. Now, how many of you guys would have found these solutions without knowing the other part of it? It's hard to see that, right? Just from x cubed plus 1. Okay, but I was able to find a quadratic by using long division. Okay, but notice this will always have a certain pattern. Okay, x cubed plus 1 is what we call a sum of cubes. We could also have a difference of cubes. Okay, we could have a sum or a difference of cubes, where our x cubed plus 1 is very similar to the top. Do you guys agree with that? Okay, well, a sum of cubes has a pattern to it. Notice, just like we had, what is the cube root of a cubed? 8. What's the cube root of b cubed? B. I'll show you how this correlates to the problem we just barely did. Let me ask you guys this question. A times what would give me the a cubed? I need a squared, don't I? You guys agree with me there? B times what would give me b cubed? I need a b squared. Now, here's the part that's a little interesting that people forget a little bit, but the middle is actually minus ab. This is something I would like you to know. Okay, obviously, what do you guys think the bottom one would be? Cube root of a cubed. A. Cube root of b cubed. B, but this time we're going to have a minus there. A times what gives me a cubed? I need an a squared, don't I? Negative b times what would give me a negative b cubed? Plus b squared. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, if that was a plus and this is a minus, what do you guys think in here would be? Plus. That is a difference of cube. Notice, can you see how basically it's the same idea? Here's what I would do. Cube root, cube root. That's where these two come from. That's your a and b. Is everybody with me understanding how I found my a and b? Notice, this is going to be a squared. Multiply a and b and do the opposite sign. Square b. Watch, here we go. Cube root, a, cube root, b, a minus b, a squared. Times them, what do we get? Negative AB. So what do we do though? Switch the sign. Plus AB plus B squared. Okay, now let's see if we did it the right way. Was the one we did last time, which kind was it? Sum or different? It was a sum, so let's treat it like this. So who was my A value? What's the cube root of x cubed? X, right? What's the cube root of 1? Still 1. Then remember, square your a value. Who's my a value? X, so it would be x squared. Multiply them together. X times 1 is x, but then we're going to negate it, so that's negative x. And then square the last number, which is 1. When I did long division, did I get those results? There'll always be those results. Okay? And it comes through long division. Right? Any questions there? Hip, hip, hooray! I'm excited. Okay, should we go after one then? You guys have what we need?
Yeah.
Okay, we need these formulas. Here we go. Let's try this fella. Let's solve him for 0. Okay, we need to, is this a sum or a difference of cubes? This is a difference of cubes. When I do a difference of cubes, what's my equation? Remember, it was a minus b parentheses a squared plus ab plus b squared, right? Okay, what is 27? What's his number being cubed? What number cubed is 27? 3. So this is 3x. Is everybody with me on that? What's the cube root of 64? -4 right here because it's -4. Does everybody understand where Braden had that? Who's my a value then? 3x would represent my a value, correct? Who's my b value? -4, you could just say the 4 right here, understanding that he's going to have the sign, okay? Here we go. So we square a. 3 squared by what? 3 times 3 is 9, x times x. Notice what I times 3x by 9x squared to get 27x cubed, right? Times these guys together, what do we get? -12x, but what do? Switch the signs. Then we square our last number. -4 squared becomes positive 16. You need to know how to go from that to this. Okay? Right there with me on that? So then I want to find the zeros, because when this is timesing, this is when this guy's 0, and then we need to find when this guy's 0, right? So when does this value equal 0? What value? I add the 4, divide by 3. Does everybody see the 4/3? Add 4, divide by 3. Okay? Now I got to figure out when he equals 0. Factors of 144 that add to be 12. So what we got to do? X equals -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. Sing along, people. All over 2 times 9, which is 18, which I don't know why I wrote that, just 18. Gerber, you're a balletist? What's another thing? A ballerina. Okay. 144 minus 576, I believe. Am I correct in that? So made 4 times 936 times by that. Okay. So we're there. You guys didn't know that's now -12 plus or minus square root of -432 all over 18. Should we break down 432 over here? How do I know if something's divisible by 3? So if I add them up, 4 plus 3 is 7 plus 2 is 9. Is 9 divisible by 3? And this is divisible by 3. So that's 3 and 144, I believe. Which is 12 and 12. I'm glad that you saw that, because there's buddies, huh? Guys, just a little hint. Always divide by 3 on this one. Whenever you're doing a perfect square trinomial, divide by 3, and this guy will always be perfect wherever his buddy is. Always going to happen. I'll explain if you ever wanted to, but right now I don't. So, onward. Hi, Chris. Yeah. Negative 12 plus or minus 12i root 3 all over 18. What do they all have in common, Aaliyah? Okay, they do have a 6. That was correct. So the first result I had was 4/3. Now when I divide all these guys, I get negative 2 plus or minus 2i root 3 all over 3. Notice how many solutions did I get? How many solutions did I get? There we go. Where did the 3 come from? Well, 4/3 is 1. How does the other thing, even though it's only written once, become 2 solutions? Plus or minus makes it 2 solutions. Okay. Any questions on that? Should I let you try one? Yeah? 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 Yes, Mr. Roberts. I would like to try one. You really want to try one? You don't really care, do you? You're so mean to me. Ooh, I'm giving you a big fella. Ready, set, go! For time's sake, you guys might not have finished it, but I want you guys to know because that kind of lets you know, do you know what you're doing, right? Here we go. So we take the cube root. What's the cube root of 64? 4. X. What's the cube root of 125? By the way, I don't know your cube roots up to like, I would say 6s at least. I know those. 16. What's 7? I don't know what it is. Never mind. If I don't know, you should know it. So, okay, then what do we do here? We square him. Everybody understand where the 16th squared came from? Because what's 4x times 4x? 16. And what's 16 times 4? See how it still matches up, right? Okay, times them. I get negative 20. What are we going to do? Switch it. And then I square the negative 5. What does that come out to be? 25. Anybody have a question on how I got it to this? The first 0 is pretty easy, right? What's this guy? X equals 5/4. And we have x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared 16 squared 250. Nope, it should be 400. Because I did 16 instead of the 20. 400 minus 4 times 16, 64 times 25. If I had 64 quarters, what do I have? $8. No? $16? Somebody help me. What, if you have how many quarters? It's 16. I think about that in a minute. See how I thought about that though? Talking about money and we get answers. You thought, oh yeah. Sometimes I'm like, hey guys, what's 3 times 25? Kids will just look at me weird. I'm like, I had 3 quarters. 75 cents, Mr. Robert, boom, just like that. Tell you what, kids will get things down when I put dollar bills next to it. All over 2a, which is 32. Okay, so this is 1200, right? Negative 1200. Does everybody see that? Okay, we're going to break down 1200. Divide it by 3. Remember, always divide by 3 first. Look, is that a perfect square? 20 and 20. It's my little trick. It is witchcraft. X equals negative 20 plus or minus 20i root 3 all over 32. What do they all have in common? They all have a 4. So my other answers are negative 5 plus or minus 5i root 3 all over 8. Hip, hooray! Keep it, go! Super reader, super math people, save the day. We're super math people, guys. Shut your mouth, Brady. Super math people. Okay, here we go on the next one. This one we've done before, in a way. We've talked about them. Anybody know what we're going to do on this fella? We're going to call this fella Joe. What are we going to do with Joe? What are we going to do with Joe? No, we're not going to give Joe placeholders. Nice try, Dave. You and Joe aren't friends, are you? I can tell. Me and Joe up here are good pals. Okay? What if I said this off to the side? Does that make sense? If u is x squared, isn't x squared squared x to the fourth? Let me rewrite this now. Here, what's x to the fourth the same thing as? Ladies and gentlemen, what do I do there? Doesn't that look like something we can factor?
Yeah.
Factors of 36 that give me to be 13. I need to do the chart. Here we go, Rivera. I saw you looking at me. 1 and 36, that adds to be what? 37, that ain't it. 2 and 18, that's 20. 3 and 12, that's 15, that's close. 4 and 9, that's 13, right? Everybody there with me? What? Say that one more time. I just lost what you really kind of said. I did. I just went 1 times 36. Factoring. Oh, because there's nothing with him. Just bear with me. Hold on just a second. I'll come back to it. Just ignore that he wasn't even here at the beginning, okay? What if you just started with this guy? Okay? Then this is u minus 9, u minus 4 equals 0. But Miss Hallie, what's u? So I come back and replace it again. Those are called difference of squares. You remember that?
No.
In difference of squares, factor into conjugate pairs, right? Difference of squares and conjugate pairs. You guys ever sing when you do math? I do. I'm not even a singer. Remember how we talked about, music, recorder, go to heck, right?
Yeah.
We talked about that, but I sing songs sometimes. Who are my zeros? Who are my zeros? Who are my zeros? Yeah. It is what? 3, negative 3, 2, negative 2. How many zeros was I supposed to have? 4. Now, do I have to do the u substitution? So what I did, Allie, is I just said, okay, I want to make it something appeasing to me. Right now, I'm a little nervous. But if I showed you this right out of the bat, would you know what to do?
Yeah.
So I made it look like something you're comfortable with. But could I just jump right here and actually solve down to here? What's the factors of 36 that give me to be 13? 9 and 4. Well, I just have to have them in terms of x squared. Right? Everybody there with me?
Yeah.
Let me show you another one that looks similar to that. Think about it like this. That one has the same idea. Who's my u? Not x. U is square root of x. Who's u squared? If I square him to both sides, what would I get? So couldn't I replace this and say, and you'd be all like, I got this.
Yeah.
See how just by substituting it makes me feel a lot better inside. Little butterflies are flying around, right? You're all like hippy hoppy hey. Okay, because I feel comfortable looking at this style. What's the factors of negative 10 that add to be 9? Nah, positive 10 and negative 1, right? Correct? But who was u? Who is it? U is square root of x. Okay, can square root of x equal negative 10? When can square root ever equal a negative number? Never. That's not a solution. When can square root of x equal 1? X equals 1. Check it out, see if it works. 1 plus 9 times the square root of 1. What is the square root of 1? 1. 9 times 1 is 1, so I'm at 1 plus 9. 10 minus 10 equals 0, huh? Okay, really quickly. You just got to understand, is there times that the top equation is in a form of kind of like a quadratic, meaning is my middle term when I square it my first term. Could be x to the 6 and x cubed. Middle term squared is x to the 6. Does that make sense? Everybody there with me? As long as I can square this middle guy, get it to here, you're just going to factor most of the time. Okay? All right. Okay. Connor, can you just name 3 consecutive integers? Any 3 consecutive integers? I bet you could. Give me a number. Give me the next one. That'd be odd, even. 5, 4, 5, 6 are 3 consecutive numbers, right? He chose to do 4, 5, 6. It's kind of funny, those are actually the answers to my question, so it's kind of interesting. But here we go. So my problem is, if I had the product of 3 consecutive numbers, 4, 5, 6, of integers, excuse me. The product of 3 consecutive integers is 120. Let's first off, these are my answers just because he was nice and picked them out. But let's imagine I didn't know that. So my first term is going to be x. What would be my next consecutive number? X plus 1. Does everybody understand that? Because I have to add 1 to get to the next integer. How about the next one? X plus 2, because I'd go x plus 1 plus 1, or so forth. Okay? So, notice, it said the product of these 3 numbers equals 120. What are some ways that I could go ahead and solve this? 1, I could get everything on one side, distribute it through, and have just a joyous time. How many wants to do that? No. Okay. Or I can go to the machine.
Yeah.
Get out your calculator. Go to y equals. Okay, and y equals, go ahead and put x, parentheses, x plus 1 and x plus 2. Take them off by 2 again. Okay, so here we go. Notice, look at my y equals. I already have it, it's so pretty. Okay, my window is already there. Because notice, look at my y max, it's 200. Meaning it's higher than 120, huh? How many do I need extra, guys, so I can go get them? Who did not get a piece of paper? Oh, pass them that way. Oh, I did have enough. Yes! Okay, notice my y max. Here we go. I'm going to hit graph. There's my graph. You see how they're intersecting? Guess what? When they intersect is when they equal each other, correct? Does that make sense? Isn't that what I had on this paper right here? I want to know when that stuff equals that stuff. With me on that? Okay. What am I going to do? I'm going to find the intersection, so I'm going to hit second. Calculate. What number am I going to look for? Numero cinco. First curve. Am I on the first curve, which is the blue guy? Hit enter. Am I on the red curve? Yep. Hit enter. Yes. Enter. Guess what the x value is? 4. Guess what the next value is? 4 plus 1, which is 5. And then 6. Look at you, just picked the right number. 6. But, ladies and gentlemen, you're doing the odds. Remember, the review will need to be done as well. I will not answer questions during the class time. We jump right into the test. So that you have enough time to finish. If you have questions, come in before you have to deal tomorrow or Wednesday. Thank you. I'll be putting work to the review on the website today. Okay? Holly, can you actually have the review?